Next ay meron tayong tinatawag na barriers of psychological health. So, not everyone becomes psychologically healthy person. Rather, most people experience conditions of worth, incongruence, defensiveness, and disorganization. So, iisa-isahin natin sila. So, first, meron tayong tinatawag na conditions of worth. So, instead of receiving unconditional positive regard, most people receive that is they perceive that their parents or peers or partners love and accept them only if they meet those people's expectations or approval. So dito naman is more likely nakafocus yung feelings mo or ng bata kapag ay nakuha na nila yung expectations na sinasabi dito. Let's say for example, peer pressures. Like hindi ka masasali sa friendship namin hangga't hindi mo ginagawa ito. So you are doing those things in order to gain their trust. Para yung in-expect nila na gagawin mo is gagawin mo talaga. So bale, parang gusto mo lang sundin yung kung ano yung expectation sa'yo no matter the consequences. Kahit ano man ang mangyari sa'yo, you only do that just because you want to gain their trust or approval on their expectations about you. Next, meron tayong incongruence or psychological disequilibrium begins when we fail to recognize our organismic experiences as self-experiences. So, ano nga ba yung ito siya? It is when there is very little overlap between the real self and the ideal self. Let's say hindi ka nagkakatugma or hindi nagkakatugma yung kung ano yung ideal self mo sa real self mo now. Nagiging problema ito sa mga taong sumusunod sa conditions of worth. This incongruence also creates self-esteem issues. People will believe less in themselves if they are not trending toward their future or ideal self. So basically, if yung ladder or daanan mo towards your future goal is malayo, and it means nagkakaroon ito ng self-esteem issues. Apple. So, under incongruence, no, meron pa tayong tinatawag na vulnerability. The greater the incongruence between our perceived self or self-concept and our organismic experience, the more vulnerable we are. So, yun na nga, the more na nagkakaroon tayo na incongruence or yung hindi magkatugma yung ideal self sa real self, is that the more na nagiging vulnerable tayo. So in this case, yung perceived self mo, siya yung hindi natutugma sa organismic experience. So let's understand first the meaning of vulnerability. So it is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. So kumbaga, dito is masyado ka ng fragile or madali ka na lang masaktan if ever talaga may mangyaring masama sa iyo. But you do these things without awareness kasi you are just vulnerable in that part. Next naman na under sa incongruence is yung anxiety and threat. Whereas vulnerability exists when we have no awareness of the incongruence, tulad na sabi ko, within ourselves. Anxiety and threat are experienced as we gain awareness of such incongruence. So, ito naman siya is another part na incongruence with which alam mo nang mayroong mangyayaring incongruence sa iyo. That is, nabubuo yung anxiety and threat sa iyo due to, yun na nga, incongruence that is inside of you. Kasi hindi nagkakatugma yung ideal self mo sa self mo now, sa real self mo. Next, we'll continue to the barriers of psychological health. We have here the defensiveness. So, it is the protection of the self concept against anxiety and threat by denial or distortion of experiences inconsistent with it. So I guess this is a little self-explanatory. So we defend ourselves through denying and misleading things just so we defend ourselves. So under defensiveness, we have here the two, denial and distortion. So first, we have distortion. we misinterpret an experience in order to fit it into some aspect of our self-concept. So in this one, we are misleading, or yes, we are misinterpreting details or information in your experiences. Next, we have the denial. So basically, ito siya yung you are refusing or denying the experiences. So we refuse to perceive experience in awareness, or at least we keep some aspect of it from reaching symbolization. So according kay Rogers, itong dalawang ito ay both serve the same purpose by keeping our perception of our organismic experiences consistent with our self-concept, which block out experiences that otherwise would cause unpleasant anxiety or threat. Next, on psychological barriers, we have here the disorganization. Denial and distortion are adequate to keep normal people from recognizing this discrepancy. But when the incongruence between people's perceived self and their organismic experiences, it is either too obvious or occurs too suddenly to be denied or be distorted, their behavior becomes disorganized. So ito, connected siya dun sa dalawa under sa defensiveness, which are the denial and distortion. So sabi rito, if masyado raw naging mabilis yung pangyayari or yung experiences nyo, is that madidisorganize yung denial and distortion mo. So since yung both denial and distortion is part of your defensiveness, if everything occurs suddenly, it will be disrupted. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na disorganization.